There's a contract in the NBA worth $3.9 million. Signing it can cost a team more than a $57 million max. Same player, same reason.
LeBron James, who, according to Rich Paul, would be willing to play now for the veteran minimum $3.9 million. He now has the greatest value in the history of American sports, if that's what he's willing to pay for.
And the team that signs it doesn't get a choice. By the end of this, you'll understand how the smallest deal in the league became one of the most expensive line items a franchise can put on its books. Two teams already paid the bill, and the next superstar who takes a pay cut to chase a ring is about to hand it to someone else. A few days ago, we showed you why the NBA's cheapest contract is the most dangerous, how a superstar at the minimum could break the cap for whichever team lands him. But we left half the story out. Dangerous and expensive aren't the same thing. The danger is what a cheap star does to the standings. The expense is what he does to the owner's checkbook. And once you see what a minimum contract actually costs a contender in real money, you'll realize the danger was the half we could afford. Now here's the rule almost nobody explains. The NBA built a wall called the second apron, around $222 million in team salary this season. Cross it and you don't just pay more, you lose almost every tool a team uses to get better. No mid-level exception, no combining salaries in a trade, no buyout market, no cash-in deals. Your future first-round pick freezes. And the one that matters here, a team over that line can only sign outside free agents to one thing, the veteran minimum. Listen to that again. A real contender, the kind of team a ring chaser wants to join, is already over the apron. That's just what the cost of being a contender is now. So, when a star wants in, the team physically cannot offer him anything but the minimum. The system doesn't allow generosity, it forces the discount.
Yeah, the stars of the league are getting paid. The guys in the rookie deals are getting paid, right? And then the OGs of the league are getting hit. The owners, you know, they're businessmen. And they're like, look, we're going to pay the superstars, and then everybody else, what's left on the plate, dessert, the appetizer, some crumbs, go ahead. Veterans and reserve guys, you could have what's left.
So far, so cheap. Now watch what the discount costs. Start with a whole roster. The 2024-25 Phoenix Suns, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, three enormous salaries that shoved the team so far over the line they could only fill the bench out of the minimum bin. 7 roster spots, minimum and rookie deals. Here's the bill. Phoenix ran the most expensive roster in the league, a $214 million payroll, about $44 million over the tax line. And at the rates they were paying that deep, the tax alone came to $152 million. $214 in salary, $152 in tax. One team, one season, and they missed the playoffs. That's the opening lesson. A pile of cheap contracts stacked on top of expensive ones doesn't buy a title. It buys the largest bill in the sport, and a lottery pick you're not even allowed to keep.
The Suns, they finished near the very bottom, is that right?
They finished at the bottom, dead last.
Okay.
Dead last. As you can see here, they're 30th in the future power rankings. And look, when you look at where the Suns are at, it's not a huge shock, right? This ranking takes into account what your draft pick situation is. The Suns obviously don't have any draft picks going forward. It takes into account your financial situation. They just waived $100 million of Bradley Beal's contract. And it also, most importantly, takes into account your current talent level.
Yep.
And the Suns just lost Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant and replaced them, as Perk said, with Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks. Like, that's not an equitable talent trade.
Now, zoom all the way in. One player, one minimum deal. Luke Cornett, Boston Celtics, a backup center. He turned down bigger offers and more playing time elsewhere to re-sign in Boston, on the veteran's minimum. A couple $1 million, the cheapest kind of contract the league writes. Except Boston wasn't just any team, they were a repeater. A team that had paid the luxury tax 3 of the previous 4 years. And when you're a repeat offender sitting deep over the apron, the tax code stops charging you by the dollar and starts charging you by the multiple. Every dollar that far up runs almost $7 in tax. So, a veteran minimum signing, a bench guy on a couple $1 million deal, projected to cost the Celtics around $14 million in tax alone for one minimum contract. Let that sit for a second. The cheapest contract in basketball generated a $14 million tax bill, and the man on it was the 12th man. And it scales past belief. The same season, Boston's total tax penalty was larger than the salaries of their entire roster combined. The bill to have the team cost more than the team. A $5 million bench veteran on a repeater over the Apron turns into $35 million in real money before he's even played a game. That's the reversal, proven with a name and a number. Not the star, not the max. The minimum is where the tax code does its worst damage because it lands on top of everything else in the highest bracket there is.
You know, it's part of, as I said the other day in a press conference, it's a part of this new CBA and obviously the second apron that, you know, we've been above the last couple of years. And, you know, it's an unfortunate part. We're lucky to get the guys that we got back in those trades, specifically Simons and Niang, but yeah, it's hard to see Drew go. It's hard to see Kristaps go, Luke out. They've, you know, just been unbelievable people to have in our group.
Which brings us to the move that keeps happening every summer. A superstar chasing a ring, willing to take a pay cut to join a loaded team. Here's what you now understand that the headlines don't. When a player of real value takes the minimum to join a contender, he isn't handing that owner a bargain. He's handing them Kornet's bill, the same bracket, the same multiplier, the same $14 million kind of tax hit. Except this time, it's stapled to a player with $40+ million on the open market. The tax doesn't care what he's worth, it only cares what bracket he lands in. A superstar minimum and a bench warmer minimum detonate the exact same bill. The only thing that changes is how good the guy setting it off happens to be. So, every time you hear a star took less to win, translate it. He didn't take less, he moved the cost from his paycheck to his owner's tax bill, and made the cheapest contract on the sheet the most expensive one in the building. Go back to where we started, a $3.9 million contract that cost more than a $57 million max. Now you see how. It's not the salary, it's what the salary lands on. A taxed out contender where the last dollar is the most expensive dollar in sports. The league spent a decade building a wall to stop teams from buying titles, and the wall turned the minimum contract, the cheapest thing in the game, into the most expensive. Phoenix proved it with a roster. Boston proved it with a bench warmer, and every contender that stacks stars is standing in the same trap, waiting to prove it again. That's the part the rulebook never says out loud. The apron didn't just make super teams harder to build, it made the cheap parts of them the most expensive: the bench, the ring chaser, the minimum salary flyer. The stuff that's supposed to be free is where the bill hides now. The league wrote a rule to stop teams from buying championships. Instead, it made the smallest contract in the sport the most dangerous and the most expensive thing an owner can sign. Doesn't matter which team, doesn't matter which star, the math is the same everywhere. Every road leads there. If the math is wrong, show us the document. This is Beyond the Buzzer.